Hey everybody, welcome to what am I calling this? The Talking Habs Bunch. I didn't even remember the name of the show. So this is our panel discussion show, our weekly show, and we are going to talk about what's going on in the news in the hockey world. So so you can expect we're going to talk about Cole Caufield. I want to talk about Dominique Ducharme. I want to talk about Carey Price, actually, right now. I want to talk about the Tom Wilson incident and stuff like that. And first, before we do get to that, I would like to I would like to wish a happy birthday to Josh Anderson, who turns 27 today. Josh Anderson is 27 today, and Brendan Gallagher turned 29 yesterday. So Brendan Gallagher is 29, and Josh Anderson is 27. So happy birthday, guys. Yeah, they're not watching. I know they're not, but hey, you never know. Somebody might tell them. All right, so as Hines has let us know, but he's wrong. If you look at the first comment in here, it says Luna, Jeff, and Shamir will be on the panel, but he's wrong. He's wrong because Luna will not be with us tonight, but we do have a special guest joining us very soon. But before we get to that special guest, we are going to bring in everybody's favorite panelist, and that is Jeff. Hey, Jeff, say hi.
You said everyone's favorite. I'm not everyone's favorite.
I'll be the judge of that. Everyone's favorite panelist, Jeff. And we also have my bodyguard and not yours, Shamir. Oh, Shamir's on the bottom this time. He's not my bodyguard on the bottom.
I'm winning them over, though. I'm winning them over.
You're winning them over. You are. So I'm going to say hi to Hines for that. I don't know. Is that like sarcasm or whatever? Anyway, Hines, first last, who were here a lot earlier. And hey, Matt Outdoor, welcome in. So if you're in here, you're going to have fun tonight. Please give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and ring that notifications bell. And then you won't miss one of these shows. Now, like I said, we're going to have a special guest coming in soon. So there's a couple of the topics here tonight that I don't want to talk about before he gets here. So we are going to attempt to waste time. No, we're going to talk about let's talk about Carey Price.
The whole thing is wasting time.
Well, now, okay. So it was nice having Jeff on the show tonight. So listen, let's talk about Carey Price. First off, Carey Price skated yesterday, not in gear, taking shots on net and stuff like that. Today he was in gear, but I also found out that it's still uncertain of when his return will be. He's back in Montreal, so he didn't stay in Toronto or he didn't actually go to Toronto to join the team like it was reported. So we're not sure what's up, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think about when he might be back, and what do you think the setback might be? I know he's out with a concussion, so it doesn't have to take much, for a setback. But what do you think? When are you predicting he'll be back? We'll start with Shamir.
Lost my sound.
I wouldn't be surprised if Price returned in time for the playoffs, just in case if he needs a bit more time to just deal with whatever the setback is. I guess it might be just the what you suggested, Rick. Maybe just something from the concussion, but. I wouldn't be surprised if, just shut Price down for the regular season and then just, make sure he's fresh and ready for the playoffs, if he's well enough.
What do you think, Jeff?
I want him to play at least one game before the playoffs.
Yeah, but what if he's not able to? What do you think? Well, I don't
want him playing in the playoffs.
What do you think could be the setback that he had?
Could be 100 things.
Because it seems like, he didn't go to Toronto. So, yeah, it's with a concussion, right? It could be almost anything.
It could even, he could have tweaked something too. You never know, right?
Right. I mean, yeah. You
But
tweak it.
yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I'm too excited for him to come back without at least having one game under his belt. I don't want him to, because it's looking like they're going to play the Leafs. I don't know if I want him out there facing those guys after such a long layoff.
True. Well, he's not going to face the Leafs. Oh, you mean in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
'Cause games count then,
Yeah, no, 100%.
right?
I'm just wondering, like, it's kind of weird that yesterday he's out on the ice with a stick, skate. Without his gear, and then today he's out on the ice with his gear, and then you hear that. So I don't know. To me, it's confusing. Maybe he had the little workout yesterday, a little bit today, and then he was having headache issues or feeling dizzy.
I mean, we'll never know. They'll never tell us exactly what's going on.
Yeah, very true.
I just kind of hope it's not a situation where, remember a couple of years ago when they kept saying all year, "Oh yeah, Price will be back, Price will be back, Price will be back," and he never came back.
Yeah, without
Like
that's the worry for me.
Right now, is it a strategy for playoff teams that they have to try and compensate or build their strategy to knowing that Price may play, where you kind of
don't announce
water down the resources, where now they have to say, okay, we got to pay attention. Maybe Primo plays, maybe Allen plays, maybe Price plays, right?
Right.
So, but if you take Price out of the equation, then they know it's going to be Jake Allen or Primo.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Well, with only 3 games left and they're spaced, they're no back-to-back. So, I mean, conceivably, Allen can play those. You think Primo finds himself in the nets again this year?
I think he had a pretty rough night last night. I don't know. He's a young goalie. I don't know if I'd want to. I mean, it sucks because you want to give him an opportunity to redeem himself, but at the same time, you don't want to put him back out there and things get worse. Or it's the same, and just kills his confidence. Where, especially if Jake Allen gets picked in the draft by Seattle next year, you want that kid coming in on a pretty high confidence level to be the backup, right?
Yeah.
Unless they bring in another backup. I mean, there's going to be goalies available, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not inconceivable that they can get another backup. That's true. You didn't weigh in on that, Shamir. You want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I just, in terms of Primo, I think that he might play one of the final games if we've already clinched a playoff spot. If Price is not ready to come back, it could just, for all we know, we've seen Primo play well. Maybe this was just one of those stinkers that every goalie just has. So,
yeah. But it's the chance you take. Put him back in and say you put him in against Edmonton and McDavid says, oh, yeah, I'm going to score 10. And then his confidence is shot. How long does it take him to get it back? That's the problem.
Especially where he had such a dominating year in Laval, right? Like, he was pretty dominant.
Yeah, but it goes to show for everybody who said, bring Primo and get rid of Price. And he's you might want to rethink that.
Well, like I always point to Carter Hart this year. Like, even though he had a great year last year, he came in this year and he struggled big time. Like, young goalies,
at one point they put him on the taxi squad, didn't they? Carter Hart. At one point, didn't they put him on the taxi squad?
At one point, he benched himself. He said, "I don't want to play."
Really? Eh?
Yeah,
they put him on the taxi
his
squad.
Confidence is totally shaken.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, it's not a good thing, and you don't want that to happen.
But he's playing better now, so.
Here's something.
Right now, actually, I think he's.
Have either of you heard anything about Deneau's injury? I've heard only that he's day to day. He might play Saturday.
I haven't heard anything new.
Yeah, I haven't heard. They're not saying.
I think that is Hart playing.
They're not saying anything. Okay, let's see this one. This is about Carey Price, saying the worst is he was barely touched. What's that say about him? He's always hurt. Not good. But Sean, he's had how many concussions now?
I think that's the third.
Right. Once you have one concussion, you're prone to it happening again, and from not very much to make it happen. And that's what you saw there. His head snapped back. That's all
I
it
think
takes.
it's a whiplash problem, stiff
But
neck.
you heard Luna. She's had concussions, and her last one she said was caused just by that. Her head snapping back like that. She was okay, and she didn't realize, but it caused a concussion. Because that's all it takes is
And a goalie that can't, their neck's not right. That's problematic, right?
Yes, it is. It's problematic going forward. Okay, so here's a question we can not waste time, but I mean until Matt gets here. Okay, a perspective for the panel. Habs have 4 players with 30-plus points, 5 who played all 53 games, and 6 with 10-plus goals. These are not great numbers.
No, they're not. I agree. They're not.
No, they're not great. I mean, but look at where they are. I mean, their offensive numbers, they're right in the middle of the league. So, I mean, their numbers are where they are, right? They're I think they're like 16th or 17th. No, but they just fell out. I think they're just outside the top 16 in offense. So, that's what you're seeing.
I'll make the argument that a lot of the teams in the North, their stats are really beefed up more than they probably would be.
So what are you saying, though? So you're saying that these are bad. But wait a second. First of all, talk to me. These are bad, and these are beefed up?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, do me a favor though. You got to put on that Leafs hat that you hide. No, I'm just joking. Now. You don't sound like a hat.
Scored 40 goals in 50 games.
Yeah, it's true. Listen,
right? Like McDavid's going to have 100 points.
I know. I'm
not saying that North Division is completely terrible, but it's like playing the same teams over and over again, I think. And where the North teams weren't dominant teams, they were closer together in competition level. Like where the other divisions have like couple top teams in them, right? Like the North didn't really have 2 really dominant teams to really beat up on everyone. Like it was.
Well, I guess
it was a lower ceiling, higher floor kind of situation. But it was like feeding ground for guys like Matthews and McDavid, right? Like,
yeah, that's what
like you look at Toffoli, right? Like Toffoli even putting up huge numbers.
What do you think of Toronto with 16 hits last night? It was 17. I had 17, I think.
17. Well, you don't have to hit something that doesn't have the puck or doesn't move very fast.
Exactly. I mean, it means Montreal was... Well, first of all, Montreal's a little more physical than Toronto is anyway, and it just means Montreal was chasing the puck all night. Right? I mean, that's what I get from it.
Hockey junkie, like, I agree. Like, I said that last night to Rick. I'm like, man, like, I expect this team to, like, that we were talking about, like I thought like the rivalry would get more heated, and it never really materialized this year. Like we were all expecting like all these teams in the North to just be frothing at the mouth every time they played each other, especially at like in the second half of the year, and it never really happened.
It's true. I thought it would be more physical. There would be more physical play between. I don't know. Just I don't know. Montreal just didn't seem to be the physical team that I thought they would be. Even though you hear about them being like very physical in their own end and all that. I don't know. I didn't see it all game, all year. But I don't watch a lot, unfortunately, the way I watch. Matt's on his way. So let me just go back to something. To answer a question, is Scotian Canadien coming? He's in my thumbnail. Yes. He just texted me. He'll be here soon. So yeah, that's my special guest tonight. Because these guys, they're just normal. We don't. No, but the special guest tonight is going to be Matt from Scotian Canadien. He should be in very soon. So hopefully everybody will be happy with that, and we can get to our normal previous. How do they say that? Our previously programmed schedule.
That's okay, Harry.
And no worries, Harry. No worries. If you can get in here and you want to, let me know.
For you last night in your stream, Harry.
If you are able to and do want to, let me know. Not a problem.
Major trolls going on in Harry's stream last night. I tried sticking up for him, but then I had to go to bed. I couldn't stay up.
Well, it's because we're getting close to the playoffs, so when we play, the trolls are out. That's what happened in our last night. That's why I left so fast.
It was a rough night for trolls. I mean, I get it. Like, if the Habs beat the Leafs that bad, I'd be chirping too. But I wouldn't be going into other streams. I'd be chirping my friends and family, but I wouldn't be like, I don't know. I just maybe the odd person on Facebook or something, but
yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't be going onto YouTube streams on fan channels and start chirping and expecting them to be okay with it.
I said something about the person chirping, so yeah. That's what we're here for. No problem, Chris. Thanks for being here.
And Jeff, I remember like one of those early games against Vancouver when, during that 10-game stretch where we started out pretty strong. I remember you commenting in the chat there, you being worried that, with all this weak competition in the North Division, that the Habs, once they reach the playoffs, that they might get crushed, once they face a strong team. Guess we don't have to worry about the Habs in weak competition in the North Division, anymore, because the table's really turned after that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, sunk like a rock. I think the only reason why Montreal is finished in fourth is not because of how well they played, but just how bad the other teams.
Yeah, they weren't able to capitalize on it.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and that's the part that sucks about all this more than anything is they come out like a bat out of hell, and then the expectation levels super skyrocketed.
Yeah,
and then they just constantly kept dropping as the year went on, and they stabilized in fourth, but like I said, I think it was more to do with the fact that the other teams didn't jump in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, everybody, I've got a special guest in the room, so everybody say hi to somebody I think everybody knows. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Not bad.
Very good, very good. I'd like to congratulate you, wish you congratulations on your newborn son in person this time.
Yeah. Thank you.
And with a great name. I was going to bug you about it. Even though I saw your video and I know you didn't name after Cole, but I was going to say, nerd, you called him, I named him after Cole.
Happy coincidence. Happy coincidence for sure.
I got to say this one thing. Man, you look different without your beard.
I know. Yeah. I figured I'd try and fit in with the D and go with the mustache till we're knocked out of the playoffs.
That's what.
Hopefully, I have this ugly thing for a while.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were doing because, but it didn't help them, unfortunately. Just the first time I saw it, I went, "Wait, is that Matt?" It took me a few seconds to be sure it was you. All right,
bushwhackers.
So we've been. Oh, by the way, I got to show you this. This is to welcome you, just so you see. Matt's here.
Nice. I'm loving this setup, eh? This is super cool
and super easy, my friend. Super easy.
Right on. So So we got Jeff up in the top right, I assume. Yeah.
Jeff up in the top right. And Shamir Jeff GGR. Goalie
right on. Rule. Well, nice to meet you fellas in person. Thank you for having me on here. I'm really excited for it. It's been a long time coming. I mean, trying to do it for a while, and then technical issues kind of hit me, and I felt awful for that, but finally been able to jump on.
Yeah, no, so no worries. I'm happy to have you. Glad you're here, and we've been holding off, waiting on to talk about a couple of things we didn't want to talk about without you there. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into that. So if you'll just give me a second. First subject's going to be this guy. Everybody see that? So let's have a talk about what went on there, the Tom Wilson incident. Also about the Rangers firing the GM and the president over the tweet, I guess, the statement they put out. So just to get it now, when you put out your video and you said people might be a little surprised at your take, I was mildly surprised at your take, but only mildly. And I think in the room right now, there's 4 of us, and I think we might have 4 variations on that take. I think maybe 2 on one side, 2 on the other. We might end up like that. I
don't know if you can find like anyone who like fully agrees one way or another on this one. It's such a divided kind of crazy topic, right?
And there's a lot of like kind of nuances to it and everything.
Yeah.
Because it also depends on how you saw that on the highlight, like what you saw or where you saw it, right? If you saw it full speed, if you saw it broken down into slow motion, because I think you were talking about that, Matt, in your video. Yeah, because it can look worse.
Yeah, I don't really like that in any review, right? I mean, I know you have to, especially if you're looking for the small details of what happened or if someone was trying to be sneaky. But when you start, like the frame by frame stuff kind of made me laugh because I'm used to like just a regular slow-mo, but it was literally like frame.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one. Honestly, I don't think I saw that one. But okay, so this is how I feel about it, and I'm probably, I don't want to say wrong, but okay. When I first saw it, yeah, my first reaction was I wish I had a stick in my hand. I would have gone up and smacked him in it. I would have whacked him so hard in the head with a stick, right? That's my initial reaction. It made me mad to see what happened. Then I listened to a lot of people who should know what they saw better than I do. And it shocked me to find most of the people, like players and stuff like that, didn't have the reaction I had. It was the opposite. They didn't find anything wrong with it.
Yeah, it's interesting how it often works out like that. I'm trying to think if there were any players. I mean, obviously, it was the Rangers players were really pissed about it, but
yeah, but you gotta, you can't take that 100%. So it made me I had to rethink. So I'm kind of don't know where I stand on it. I'm not sure.
Come to the dark side. Come to the dark side.
Yeah, the optics of it are horrible. Right, the optics. You got to admit, the optics.
100%. The optics are brutal, and even like as when I first saw it, I immediately was like, "Oh fuck, he's really got himself in some trouble now." But like the more I looked into it, I started kind of coming back on it. I just go back to the Buchnevich stuff. That was awful, and I just even in general, I was feeling a little bit disingenuous talking about it as much as I did because I didn't watch the full game when it happened. So, like, I don't know what the full context of that was. I don't know if Buchnevich was out there doing things he shouldn't have been. I mean, I haven't seen anyone talk about it. I don't know how you'd find that out. I mean, all the focus is going to go to Tom Wilson regardless. But, yeah, I think the biggest thing that's got me kind of pissed off right now is that, like, I was on the side of the fence where, somewhat sticking up for Tom Wilson. But to see, like, Buchnevich get suspended for that cross check to the face, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how, yeah.
Just that's kicking somebody when they're down. It's like, we didn't, that looked way worse, but we're going to suspend yours because it's kind of like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, let's pick one out of the hat, and this is the guy that we suspend. It's kind of...
And us as Habs fans, like, we've seen... Go ahead.
I was going to say, didn't Crosby almost do the exact same thing as Wilson did? I don't know if it was this year or that the next night or if it was something from a couple of years ago. I just saw the video of it and I was like,
I think I
Why
saw
isn't anybody
that.
freaking out about that? Why doesn't anybody freak out about McDavid's
Yeah.
elbows flying around all the time?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's superstars, and especially it was Tom Wilson. Like there was something that happened a couple weeks ago with Wilson, and I can't remember what it was, but I remember seeing it on Twitter, and it was just like it was literally nothing, and people were like, "Fucking suspend him, suspend him."
Yeah.
So like people just
I
hate
remember
him. Yeah.
And that's why it got slowed down to frame
I
by
know.
frame because it was Tom
Yeah.
Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
For some reason, they couldn't get a clear angle of McDavid's elbow coming up and hitting Caufield, but they could get frame by frame for
Yeah.
True.
for Tom
True.
Wilson. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it, Shamir? I assume you
Oh,
said
yeah.
it was, yeah.
For me, at first I was just like, yeah, throw the book at him. But then when I took in more of that debate that was going on Rick's channel, I think like the night after, during one of the live casts there, I was sort of shifting back and forth as to, where, because like we've had this discussion before with myself, Rick, and Jeff, in terms of, I think it was Jeff that brought up the point that, these are only the maximums that are set out under the CBA, and as long as the players union, is not going to insist on, tougher penalties, then nothing's really going to change going forward. And because, I mean, this is not the first time when we've had, something like controversial like this, and that gets something like this all of us riled up. And certainly everybody going after Paros for,
Well, the inconsistency. It's crazy, the inconsistency of just for Montreal this year. With you made the point in your video about Armia, right? The last year in the playoffs, the cross-check to Galley's throat.
Exactly.
Those were suspendable to me, and nothing happens, right? And then the Buchnevich hit on the name's not coming. Manta. But I was watching that, and before it happened, Manta was skating up behind him and whacking him in his ass and his leg with his stick. So that's why Buchnevich got really pissed at him. So I thought, you know what, he deserved it, but maybe he doesn't. That was pretty. It was a bit greasy. He got right in his face like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say he deserved it, but like that's just more proof of the context of, it's not like Mantha was innocent and Buchnevich came out of nowhere and was like, "Fuck you," and cross-checked him in the face.
This is
there
my
was something
point.
Going on before that.
This is my point, because everybody seems to say like, "Oh, he just came out of nowhere," but he didn't, because there's something did happen, and then it makes your point about you didn't see the whole game. You don't know if there was something before with Wilson and Buchnevich or not, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there is something there that it's the context to lead up to it.
It may
Right?
not even been that game. Think about how many times these teams have played each other.
Something from this year, right? That's all it takes.
Good point too. I love what Shamir said though about the NHLPA setting the standard, because it's totally right. If they're not gonna, like, it's too bad we can't be privy to that. Like, are the NHLPA having a conversation with the DOPS and saying, "Hey, like, this is getting crazy," or are they fine with the job he's doing? We don't know, right?
Well, the players decide this, like when they sit down and do the collective bargaining agreement, they decide what the fines are going to be, and they decide the players union doesn't want players suspended, and they don't want to pay big fines. So they're going to try and get the least amount as they possibly can, and the league's going to say, "Okay, fine." And then Paris has to enforce the rules that both sides agreed to.
Yeah,
So
and clearly
that's how it works.
Yeah, and clearly the players are totally fine with the police yourselves aspect. They continuously say they're fine with it, but it goes along with the nothing really changing and fans just continuing to be pissed off while the players are just like, yeah, we'll deal with it on the ice, and they continue to do that. Retribution game, both teams had players willing to be combatants, and they settled it. I'm probably likely somewhat over. I'm sure the rivalry is still going to be heated, but they're going to move on from this.
Nothing.
And that's the
nothing.
other. How many people watched that game last night?
Yeah,
Well, that's what Matt said. It's good for the game, right?
everyone, the whole hockey fucking community watched it.
Not me. I was streaming. I couldn't watch
I was
it.
watching the Habs too.
Yeah.
I was
But
going
you know-
back and forth.
Nothing's changed, right? Like, I mean, since the 70s, since I've been watching hockey, I mean, it's exactly how it was done. I hated it, but you only hate it really when it affects a player on your team if they get hurt doing it, right? That's the only time you really care. If they don't get hurt, wow, we love seeing it, right? So you're kind of right on that. So, yeah, it's just, I guess, that little woke self part of me, I saw what happened, and I wanted to hit it with a stick so bad. I don't want to admit it, but I really, and then I'm going, but that's no better than what you just saw. Like, and you want to
That's
do
what I
worse
said.
than the
Right?
guy, right?
I was saying to people in the chat that night, I'm like, so everyone's mad at Tom Wilson for his violence, and they want violence done to him to correct.
That's right. Yeah, and I wanted to do it myself.
Because you don't like him, violence is okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I've said before, that the unfortunate thing is, it's just like, what's going to happen if, God forbid, somebody ends up getting killed, as a result of, like a dirty hit, like somebody without a helmet getting, their head smashed, into the boards
happened
or into
once.
the ice.
Happened once.
Well, think of how the game used to be played, like even in the 90s when guys like Scott Stevens were playing. I mean, Korea almost died, but, no one, I guess concussions are very serious, but we've come a long way. And as much as, people hate Tom Wilson, I don't think he's like out there targeting people on purpose to
not like the way
hurt
Scott
them.
Stevens.
I think he just treats every player on the ice equally, and he doesn't care. Like, if you're a superstar, I'm going to hit you just like I'd hit the third liner. And some of the superstars don't like that. And like even Panarin, when the whole thing started, Panarin fucking jumped on his back. Did Tom Wilson even know who it was? He just thought, okay, this guy's jumping me. We're fighting. And he threw him to the ice. So it's like,
he just saw two sleeves coming over his shoulders. That's all he saw.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt he didn't do it because it was, it was Panarin on his back. There's no doubt. I mean, how, like you said, how is he going to know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. The optics were so bad. But I think when you break it down, it might have been not as bad as I thought. But still lucky that he didn't hit his head on the ice. You got to admit that.
Yeah.
Bit lucky there.
Yeah, definitely.
I always think back to like the Todd Bertuzzi thing, because like that was a lightning rod. I'm sure you guys all remember that. Like,
yeah.
Right? Like that was bad. That's about as bad as it can get.
Yeah.
And Bertuzzi played in the league after that. The McSorley stick to the head thing, like that was probably, those two issues were probably bigger issues than anything that's happened in the last 3 years. And those guys continued to play in the league after the fact.
Yeah.
And that's where that's kind of like the bar where I go, okay, well, if those guys got to play, then
let's see what Harry has to say. Harry
hates Wilson, so
I don't see Panarin jumping on Wilson's back. Wilson is pushing Buchnevich in the back of the head, so Panarin runs over and falls onto his back to get him to stop. Wilson's 100% in the wrong. You know what? I don't know that I agree with that. I remember seeing it. He jumped on his back.
He flew in there. He flew into the scrum.
I don't think there's any doubt.
100%.
Yeah, I don't
doesn't mean, like, who cares? Like, really, if the league looked at it and they put down the penalties that they legally are allowed to put down, and that's what it's down.
True.
But we should say though, like, credit to Panarin for sticking up for his teammate and Buchnevich. Exactly. Huge credit for going there after Tom Wilson, because he knew who he was targeting, and so credit there. And it is unfortunate that Panarin misses the rest of the season, which is only 3 games. But and hopefully he's not injured too bad.
That's more dramatic when you say out for the season with a week left.
Yeah, but he's an sterling player. I'm a huge Panarin fan, so it's nothing. I don't have anything against him. It's just I'm just trying to give an opinion on what I see, right?
No, and you know what? him jumping on his back like that, I mean, you know what? If something happens to him, he kind of signed up for it, jumping on his back, right?
What do you think was going to happen?
No, exactly. I mean, no, exactly. I mean, he signed up for it. Still doesn't deserve to get his head smashed in, but it didn't happen. So, but you know, if you're going to jump on a beast like that, man, you better hang on for the ride, or better believe in God or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he definitely was willing to sacrifice some teeth, I think, when he jumped on Tom Wilson.
He had to be. Last piece of this. What do you guys think of the Rangers firing Davidson and Gorton and then saying it had nothing to do with the statement that was released about this?
It had to have been about the statement. Unless they're really that hard on their team build. I mean, they said they were rebuilding, and all of a sudden you want them to be making the playoffs consistently and going on runs. So I just don't understand that. It seems like they've done a really good job building that team up. And they've taken criticism for not being tough, but it's not like their
record's good in the last 2 months.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
performance based, it doesn't make any sense. So to me, when I saw it, first of all, when I saw the statement, and then they were talking about the fines and 100,000 or whatever. I said, that's $250,000. It was $250,000, and So, well, I mean, it wasn't going to be a light fine. And did you see what Bettman said? Bettman didn't like it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, he's not going to. As soon as I saw it too, he wasn't going to mess around. And personally, I thought it was a little unacceptable. You can do that behind closed doors, and it was pretty dramatic, if you ask me. I don't know. It was like, I understand the criticism of George Peros, no doubt, but like dereliction of duty and vicious act of violence.
It's like a bargaining agreement.
Yeah,
the difference.
Yeah. So, and I think there was a rumor that said the president and general manager distanced themselves from that statement.
Yeah, they tried to,
and they were like, nope. Yeah. You wonder why.
Yeah, but then shouldn't they been in control and not let that out? Delete it, maybe?
I don't know. They're not the billionaire, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought, I just think the owner saying it's nothing to do with, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to, let's talk about him. So let's talk about Cole Caufield for a sec. And not because Matt's son is now named Cole, because we find out that has nothing to do with it, until he becomes a Montreal Canadien, and then he'll go, I named him after that kid that was really good when he was born.
Yeah,
that's when it'll be right. If he happens to be a famous hockey player, the story is going to change, right, Matt?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so everybody's opinion on Cole Caufield and what you think of his 3 games in. I'm not sure. Is it 7 or 8 games he's played? I'm not sure. Anybody know?
I think it's 7 now, isn't it?
I think it's 7. So what do you think of how he has started his NHL career? Start with you, Matt.
I mean, a couple game-winning goals, easy to build off that. The confidence is there. I think we saw that in the third period last night. I think he spent a bit of time trying to adjust and maybe feel comfortable in his skin, maybe in the NHL. Like, he wasn't gonna go out there and try and put on a show for his first few games. He's definitely done some skilled things in the last week or whatever, but I don't know, that third period from him last night, whenever he had a chance, he was skating through the middle of the ice. He was doing everything he could to generate offense, and it was like, and he wasn't relying on his line mates like at all. So I think, I don't know, it's like he was maybe pissed that he got put on the fourth line, or I don't know, but he had chances to pass it off and be timid with it, and he just challenged the opposition. And it was exciting to see.
Yeah, I heard a comment that is almost like he's fed up, like they weren't able to do anything with him. Forget it. I'm going to do it myself. You guys can't keep
that's
up.
how you know you have a true star.
Yeah, I think so. And now, Jeff, to counter that.
I'm underwhelmed with him so far. Like, I know I literally expected him to come in his first game and score a goal. I mean, he did it. It's not. It's the hype behind him. It's not that I don't think Caufield's a good player and he can't be a good player. It's just I don't understand like why we're blowing him up to like. There was people literally comparing him to Matthews and McDavid, and like, man, like
that's crazy though.
Can we bring it down to maybe a Brock Besser level here? Like that I can get on board with. I'm not gonna and my fear of that was more like we're gonna blow him up to this huge level, and if he doesn't come closer, he goes like 5-6 games without a goal, then everyone's gonna start turning on him. And that's not going to be a good environment for anyone, especially when the team's struggling. And like that was my worry for it. But I'm not his size is always going to worry me. That's my big issue with him. Last night the first period, the first 2 goals, he was on the ice. He was a little timid going into the corner and behind the net to get the puck. And next thing you know, the puck ended up in the back of our net. And it's like, okay, well, he was -2. I think he was -3 at one point. But like you said, at the end of the game, he kind of redeemed himself because he was like, and that's why I think he got pushed down the lineup and his ice time got cut a little bit. And it was nice to see him a little mad and try to do something. Because you're right. When's the last time we had a player that really has tried to take control of the game? And that's got to be hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
Literally,
and try and fail numerous times.
A playoff team at the end of a season.
That's what I think. Like when you just said that if he doesn't score a goal for 5 games, then they're going to come down on him. You know what? I think that might not happen with Cole for this reason. You see something with him, even if he doesn't score a goal, that we haven't seen in a long time. A truly offensive player, not afraid, a small guy like that, not afraid to go to the front of the net. Not afraid to get positioning around a guy that's like 10 times his size. It's something we haven't seen. And even if he doesn't score, he's going to come close. That shot is amazing just to watch the shot. I wonder if they will come down on him after now he's scored his first goal. He's got a 5-on-5 goal.
That was the other thing. So, like, well, he's only scored goals in overtime with lots of space.
But I just think
do something without his offensive.
I think his offensive instincts and what he can do on the ice are going to keep people from getting down on him too quickly, and he'll score a goal and he'll be okay. That's my opinion.
It's Montreal. They're going to get down.
I know they will. Fine, I know, but he's still gonna. I just like what I see from him. I like the fact that as small as he is, and he's a rookie, and he's winning the middle. You know, he's getting in there, and there's open spaces, and he's finding it. If there's a dead spot on the ice that he can get open, he's finding it. He's
really good at being sneaky and finding those areas, and he's definitely a finesse player. They're definitely gonna try and limit who he's playing against, right, and control his quality of competition. Jeff's criticisms are like very, very fair. I mean, his size worries me too. Like, it's not like he's just small, like he's fucking tiny. Like, and the NHL is a big league, and I understand why people make the Matthews comparisons because of the records, but I definitely don't agree with them. I mean, Matthews is 6'3", 230. Like, that's just you can't replicate that. How he can just win battles, like it's a cakewalk. But I'm definitely still excited for what Caufield can do. It's going to take not a long time for him, I don't think, but it's definitely not. We shouldn't be relying on him to win us games. I mean, we might have to, but Well,
that's the other side of it too, Matt, where they brought him in, like where our offense was struggling so bad and our power play is struggling so bad, and they brought him in, and literally, it's not like I felt like it was like the pressure of the fans and the media forced Bergevin into something he didn't really want to do, but he had nothing else left. There was no other move to make. After the trade deadline was over, it was like, and we're still struggling, like, I'm going to have to call this kid up because he literally can probably do what we need him, what we're struggling with more than anything.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the shitty part. Like, I felt bad for him because if it didn't go well, and I mean, it did, and it's gone pretty good. He scored a couple game winners, and it hasn't been horrible. But if, say, he came in and didn't score a goal for 10 games, or didn't look good out there, I think it would have got. I don't think the fans would have turned, or the media would have turned on Caufield right away, unless it carried over to next year. But they definitely would have went after Bergevin and the coaching staff.
Oh yeah, right? For sure,
definitely. Yeah. Because they would have said, "Oh, we're rushing them, right?" And that was one of the things, with everyone talks about how great we pumped Caufield or KK up like this during his first season too, right? And the next year we were sending him down,
Yeah, it's pretty wild that people pump KK up like that too, because it was said from the beginning that he would be a project, but I guess it kind of turned people's heads when he made the NHL at 18, but it was just still always going to be a project. Yeah.
I wanted to say with Caufield, there's a difference for me with Caufield and KK is with Caufield, you see right away, for me, even from game one, I saw an NHL player there.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas with KK, you saw a potential NHL player there, but you didn't know 100% yet, right? But with Caufield, you could see the difference. There's a talent level that's different. I think that'll hold him in good stand as far as when he has little slumps and stuff. That's
I think too, the plan the whole time was to bring him up at the end, regardless, just to how the university season would end, and it was a weird year, and you'd have nowhere else to play. And Laval, if Laval had playoffs this year, maybe he would have stayed there. I don't know, but
I think he would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean, if they had games, they had no games.
But I also think because the Laval season ended and Montreal was struggling, that was the main reason why he. If the team wasn't struggling, maybe they would have left him on the taxi squad to practice like they did with Romanov last year in the bubble.
Yeah,
I could have seen that kind of a situation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Going well, but they brought him on the taxi squad in a couple of days. As soon as they had the cap room, he was on the ice playing on the first line. It was like, whoa.
Yeah. What do you think, Shamir?
Yeah, you're quiet, Shamir.
Yeah. Well, like I've said about Caufield, I, always tempered my expectations for Caufield, not thinking that hoping that it doesn't have become like a Paling type situation in his debut NHL game, because then expectations just go start going all crazy and everything. But it's good that he didn't get off to that fiery start in his first game, because it again tempers expectations and fans' expectations and his own expectations. And it's good that he started scoring when he did, because it wasn't that long until people were starting to call Lafreniere a bust when he wasn't getting any points, because especially in this kind of environment, people would have gotten pretty impatient pretty quickly and started turning, whether it's Caufield, whether it's like in the playoffs, had we if we make it into the playoffs or into next season. But I mean, they would have turned on him pretty quickly if there was no if he wasn't appearing on the score sheet as often as he should be. But right now I'm liking what I see. But again, like has been pointed out with KK, it can go up and it can go, a lot of this kind of
he's a rookie
stuff as well. Yeah.
Well, it's like at the beginning of this season, everyone was like, Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, they're our top six centers. They're like bona fide. It's like, no, these guys have not shown that they can play, 56 games, let alone 82 games at a top 6 level. So it's like Caufield's the exact same way. He could be great for half the season next year and then struggle down the line when things tighten up again. We just have to be like, and I've been like Shamir said, I've been doing my best to temper my expectations with Caufield too, because, for me, it's just like, you're not a elite scorer. You won't be an elite scorer in the NHL until you prove it. So like, especially because of his size, I want to see it first before I'm like, yeah, we have a 30 or 35 goal scorer in our lineup. It's like, no, let's see him do it for 2 seasons at least before, I give him that credit.
Well, one season, if he comes out next season and scores 30 goals, then that's pretty commendable.
Yeah.
Like, for your first full season. But even if he comes out next year and he scores 20 goals, I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not penciling him in for 40 goals or 30 goals next year. Like anything, the team should be built with the fact that anything Caufield does next season is a bonus. They shouldn't expect him to come in and lead the power play and lead the team in scoring next year.
Yeah,
he should be the bonus. Like, this is our secondary scoring. Look how great it is, right?
If there's anything that we should have learned with all this crop of young kids coming in and our expectations, so Suzuki, KK, Primo now, is that it takes time. Don't expect it in their first year. Guys have to develop, and they gotta, over. As long as you're seeing the improvement over time, right? As long as there's that, and they're not either flattening out or the roller coaster ride there. Look at Suzuki this year. He started out great, had a bit of a down, but look at his numbers. He's on pace for 60-plus points in an 82-game schedule, and that's what we were kind of hoping he'd get in an 82-game schedule in his second season. So he's right on pace. So, the expectations are what we have to control, because I was guilty of that. I was guilty.
And then with KK, with KK, he's like insanely young still to be playing center in the NHL.
They all are.
And he's lanky as fuck. Like, so, and he plays a physical game. So it's hard for him to do what he wants to do because of his size. But he's still shown flashes of like really great play. It's just he's struggling with inconsistency. So the more he fills out and the more he gets comfortable, the more he remains confident, he'll be fine too. It's nice though that all these guys are a similar age, so they should kind of peak at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, and it just requires a little bit more patience. I know we've had a lot of patience, but we're right on that. We're right there. If we just have a little bit more patience, if they do the kind of things they've been doing over the last 3 seasons, we're going to get there in a few years. Yeah. I'm not saying we're going to win a cup for sure, because we can't know, but we could legitimately be contenders with some of the kids that should make it, like 1 or 2 of the guys coming up in the pipeline.
And I don't mind, you know what? If in this 2 or 3 years where we're still going with Weber and Price or whatever, if we don't happen to get the ultimate prize, like shit, that sucks. But to have all of these young kids in the lineup witnessing highly, highly respected veterans who have won in the past continue to battle, I think that's just going to be invaluable to what these guys, these young kids, are able to accomplish and develop as their work ethic once it's their turn. Once the keys are handed over, I think that'll be extremely valuable.
Yeah, no, as long as because one of the issues I've had this season, because I'm not sure what's going on. I know, Matt, like, we saw a lot of Dominic Ducharme when he was with the Mooseheads, right? And I'm rooting for the guy, but at the same time, I'm going like, what's going on? Like, are the players running this? Because it just seemed like he wanted to do the exact same things Julian was doing, putting the same players on the ice for the same amount of time. Like, is it a hierarchy problem with the team? Like,
okay, so that comes to our next subject. Was Dominic? That was going to be the next. So good segue there, Jeff. So
unintentional.
We'll go back. We'll start with Matt here, because I remember when he got hired. I think yours was the first video on the subject that I watched, and you were really excited, like I think most of us were, to have Ducharme come in, because for me, I had never seen him coach, but I'd heard kind of style and what the team should look like, and I was really excited. It's not what we got. Definitely not what we got.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't lying when I said I was hoping and, really hoping he'd become Habs coach at some point, like for years. So to see him then like get into our system and then for it to eventually happen, it was just pure excitement. But I'm definitely confused with, it just doesn't seem like the line changes and stuff doesn't seem like him. Like when he coached the Moose, it was literally the exact same top 9 all season. It never changed. Like, and the only thing I can really say to defend him is like the cap implications where he was forced to, play certain guys, and then all the injuries that have now happened, and he's been juggling the lineup ever since. He went through the trade deadline and then had to fit new guys in as well. And that kind of speaks to the forward group. The thing that really kind of confuses me is how the defense has stayed this exact same for essentially, except for the bottom pair, while the forwards have been completely juggled. And you can say the same thing about the D-core having injuries and whatnot, but it's still, for the most part, stayed the same. So that's confusing. So I'm wondering how much Luke Richardson has control of that defense. Like, is he choosing the pairs or is Ducharme choosing the pairs? Because honestly, the whole Weber-Sherratt thing, like, and I love both players, but not together. And the fact that NHL coaches aren't seeing how awful they are is just really confusing. And Luke Richardson, when he left the Islanders, their fans were incredibly excited to have him go. So for us to be pissed off at our decor is kind of, almost not expected, I guess, or almost expected.
Well, let me ask a question here then, because I've heard speculation about like maybe Ducharme. There's a thumb on the scales there that's not his. We know Bergevin was a defenseman. Do you think him and Richardson have very similar? What's the word I'm looking for? How they look at hockey or how they want it to look. They're on the same page. Why he didn't get fired?
That's the point I was just going to make.
And then, do you think that Bergevin's got his thumb on the scales here, and that's why we're not seeing typical Ducharme type coaching?
Like, they got rid of everyone except Richardson. Like, he was the only coach left standing, really.
Yeah. I don't think he got fired because he was brought in at the exact same time as Dom.
You mentioned full hat for this, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. He was brought in the exact same time as Dom, so he hasn't been here like that long. And a big issue of ours was always goal scoring. But it's just weird that, and I do think him and Bergevin and Richardson likely have the same views on defense, on defensemen. Bergevin loves those shutdown D, and it's holding this team back. And it's what's weird about it is that Bergevin was the one who acquired Jeff Petrie. And we've seen what he's become, and he's always been a puck-moving defenseman. So, like, how do you go and acquire one like that and then not get another one like that in the next 5 years or whatever? It's just all big shutdown guys. So I don't know.
And we saw when they just recently, when they went goal on the 3-game winning streak, they did move the defense around a little bit in that you basically had a puck mover and a stay-at-home guy, and it worked.
It worked, yeah. Cool.
And then what happens? And then I wouldn't say they went backward, but they switched it up when you had 3 pairs that worked for 3 games. And then I don't know what the explanation. I mean, there was no explanation for why the Senators game again. They switched the lines and they switched the defensive pairings, and it didn't work. So
yeah, I mean, you can. I get why you can't always play Romanov up there. It's another young guy who's inexperienced, but like Kulak and Weber look good together. I don't see why you wouldn't go with that. It's still not ideal. It's still like we need a legitimate top 4 puck moving defenseman on the left. Markov left. Shoes haven't been filled.
Weber's still out. Sherratt and Romanov look good together. I don't know why.
Yeah, and I've always thought that'd be a fine third pair if assuming Weber's still in your top pair, right? Which I think he would be. But nothing wrong with Sherratt and Romanov as a third pair. and Kulak and Weber at the top. Kulak plays better the more minutes he has. He always has.
True. Yeah, no, true. And he's played with Weber before, and he played well when he played. It's a couple of years ago, but he did. And yeah, I don't see why this doesn't happen. It boggles the mind. It's not the Dom Ducharme that I thought we were getting one.
Mm. And the main thing that's holding the team back is the transition. You got Jeff Petrie who can move the puck up, and Kulak who's not bad at it, but he's not putting up a ton of points. But other than that, they're relying on their forwards to break through the neutral zone and get the entries. I mean, of course you want them to get the entries, but if they could get help getting through the neutral zone, that'd be lovely.
Yeah, some breakout passes, getting the puck out within a pass or two out of your own zone would be nice. Getting these guys going with speed through the neutral zone, and when they do it, we find success.
Yeah, but with Sherrod and
Weber.
I mean, I like Edmonton as well, but he's got a great partner. But with these types of defensemen, the passes are coming from below the dots, and that just makes it really hard for the forwards to do anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, we're gonna move on to one more topic. We're almost through this.
We also got a dono in the chat.
Yes.
Did we? Oh, let me go back to the chat. Sorry. All right, I'm sorry. I almost missed that. Slinksy, thank you. Some Slinksy hype in here and some dono hype. Matthews has Marner as his crime partner. Who will be Caufield's crime partner? Good question.
I'm going with Anderson.
Anderson for you? But Anderson's a winger. I imagine he means a center.
KK for me. Once he's bigger and
I want
more
to see
responsible.
KK and Anderson and Caufield together.
I want
two big guys and a little guy.
I like KK's passing. I think KK's the guy that might be the better passer to set up Caufield.
Well, I think Suzuki's the better passer, but I
don't know.
The size of KK and his physicality, along with Josh Anderson, I think could shelter Caufield and give him the space he needs to be able to.
Yeah, you don't want Caufield going into the corners to win pucks. KK can do that once, he'll get better at it as he's not bad at it now, but he'll get better. And I think that's a match made in heaven, KK and Caufield.
Here's what Harry has to say. Drew and Caufield, I think. Drew as a playmaker, left wing, Caufield a right wing goal scorer. KK up the middle as the two-way forward would be delicious in my opinion. Okay, I'm not saying that wouldn't work, but I mean, should we talk about it? You think Drouin comes back?
Probably not this season, but it'd be nice if he did, but I'm not going to count on it.
Yeah, I don't think this season for sure. I don't think this season. No, I'm talking about, do you think he – and I don't know that I'm comfortable really. I'd rather let the guy get through whatever's going on before we – I don't let people shit on him anymore in the chat, or I just ignore it when I get comments sent now. Let the guy go through whatever the hell he's going through. I don't know. Me, I don't want to talk about whether he's coming
especially
back.
After
it won't be this season.
Press conference there a couple weeks ago, where he's talking about how hard this is.
Yeah,
I know how hard this COVID stuff and lockdowns and all this stuff's been on me. And I'm pretty much me and Matt are both in Nova Scotia. It's pretty easy here for the last few months, but I mean they cracked down on us today, right?
Yeah,
it's still hard.
But these players are living, they're not being able to see family and, I'm not going to shit on a player. Whatever's going on with Drouin, I've seen some rumors and stuff, but...
Well, they're really, locked in their hotel rooms after games. Yeah. They can't even mingle. That's fun.
They can't, amongst their own teammates who they're supposed to... I mean, they're okay to play together. They can't...
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That's a little...
It doesn't make sense. I don't get that. And anybody who doesn't understand it,
hockey in Nova Scotia had more freedom than the NHL players do.
If anybody doesn't understand what we're talking about, there's a video by Robin Lehner. He had a press conference. It's out on YouTube. I suggest you watch it if you want to have some kind of an idea of what these guys are going through in order to be out there playing hockey for us to watch. So and it's an eye-opener. That's all I can say. Okay, so before we get to the end, let's just go to chances for the Habs. It's obvious that Montreal's – to me, it's obvious we're going to face Toronto first round, which for me is fine. I I'm not saying it's their best chance to win, but it's what I want to see. And in hockey, I guess in any sport, you don't pick who you play against in the playoffs. You got to take who's there. So it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't to me. And I want to see Toronto. What do you guys think? Chances for Montreal against Toronto in the first round? I already know these other two. We'll get to them. Matt, I haven't been able to ask you that. What do you think Montreal's chances are going in?
I mean, Toronto's the clear favorite. Like, it's going to be the best team that the Habs have faced in the playoffs in a while. Better than Pittsburgh, better than Philly, like by a long shot. But you know, sure. at least the Habs have been. They are improved over the last couple seasons. I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to win. But I think the way that I think Toronto is one of the few teams where, because our defensemen are mostly all shut down, it could actually help us just frustrate Matthews, get him off his game. They've shut him down in a few different games. I mean, he still will score the odd goal, but it's not like Toronto lights us up like other teams do, or lights us up like they do to other teams. I mean, last night, kind of an exception, but every game against them this season has been really close. Yeah. So I'm expecting the exact same thing in the playoffs, especially once, ideally if we're healthy. Now, could they be close and Toronto ends up winning them because they're just more talented? Yeah, for sure. But, maybe Carey Price steals it. Maybe, Gallagher comes in clutch, and the addition of Caufield is, the depth scoring that we have just wins out, being able to roll four lines instead of them who, they're getting depth scoring as well, but the vast majority of it comes from Marner, Matthews, and Tavares. Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be an absolute catastrophe in Toronto if we beat them, and I love that. And they're expected to win, so it's kind of a win-win for us. I mean, if we lose, that was expected. It would just suck to deal with their fans, but, whatever. And on the plus side, if we lose to them, our team's going to be more fired up next season to take it to them as well. So it's a win-win for the Habs and a win and massive lose situation for the Leafs, which I'm totally fine with. And I've been wanting this series for years. I'm glad we're likely going to finally get it. And I just hope it's a little bit more intense than the series has been, especially these last few games. They haven't been typical Habs Leafs games in my eye. Even last year with Domi and Kapanen and all that stuff, they were way more heated and a lot more fun to watch.
True. I want to add this to that, by the way. Not only is there pressure on Toronto being 1967 since they won, so they've got this huge amount of pressure on them. And to win a first round, which they haven't done in forever. Now you add the fact that Montreal is their first round opponent. And I have a feeling it makes their hands a little bit tighter on their sticks. And it adds that little bit of extra pressure. Yeah, I think Montreal might have the best chance to beat them in the first round than the other teams.
And I agree with that. And I'd rather face the Leafs in the first round than the second. If the Leafs happen to get through the first round and if that's how it played out and we face them in the second, they're probably confident as hell and destroy us. But at least in round one, the head games are there. And, Habs have played spoiler before. The Leafs have choked before. So it's almost a match made in heaven for Montreal.
That's a good point. I haven't heard that point before, and it's a good point. You guys, you got something to add?
Shamir.
I think that if the Leafs beat us in the playoffs, it'll likely be in 4 or 5 games, and if we win the series, it'll likely be 6 or 7. But I think that, unpopular opinion, that I think we got a 50-50 chance of beating the Leafs in the playoffs, because as you pointed out, Matt, you're spot on. We can really play a spoiler role when we want to, and when expectations are really low. And fingers crossed, we can do that again this year, like we did in the RTP last year.
Yeah, I also like something that I think Montreal's a more physical team, And I don't think that Toronto's Stars handle the physicality as well as they should. And I think that could play a big part here. And if Montreal, I hit them as much as I can.
And as you said, and as you said, we're a team that's should be built for the playoffs. So let's see that.
Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, and Toronto's better built for the playoffs than before, though. Before they did some good stuff this year for the team.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is the Leafs have a potential goalie controversy looming over their heads. So there's a few different things going on for them right now. So let's say, I mean, I don't know how you don't start Jack Campbell. He's been lights out. He deserves to play for them. If they go with Anderson, that's kind of bullshit. So you got to expect it to be Campbell. Now, if Campbell goes out and we happen to win that first game, who knows? Maybe we get lucky and light him up. Immediate goalie controversy. So then there's that potential angle to deal with. And then, like you mentioned, Rick mentioned, I agree. I don't think the Leafs handle the physicality too well. Matthews was getting frustrated when a 20-year-old kid in Romanov, who's much smaller than him, was just playing him really, really hard last night. And you could see him frustrated. Same thing with Sherrod early in the season. So if we can not only stifle their offense, but just beat them up and wear them down, like that's what happens in the playoffs. Yeah. You never know. You never know. And it's hockey. We've seen upsets before. Any team can win on any given night. And I'm not going to, Leafs fans thinking that it's going to be a cakewalk are likely, I hope anyway, going to be severely disappointed. Even if we happen to lose, I think there's going to be some very stressful moments for Leafs fans.
At the very least, yeah. I think we can scare them, and I think we keep it close enough to scare them a little bit at least and take some of that cockiness away from them. Jeff, you didn't add anything into this.
I think it could be a 4-game series or a 7-game series. 4 games not in our favor, 7 games in our favor.
Shamir just said it. Yep.
What?
Shamir just said the same thing, and I agree.
I agree with Shamir. And the other thing is, too, was you were talking about the goalie controversy. If Price doesn't get in a game here before the end of the season, do you want him starting game 1 against the Leafs? I don't know if I do.
I'm going to roll with Carey Price all day, every day. His playoff stats and tournament stats are insane. I think there's a different version of Carey that comes out. I mean, he's a family man. I wouldn't be surprised if he says to the wife, I'm buckling down, so I'm going to be a little different here for the next few weeks or until this is over. Because it's not like last year. The same inconsistencies were happening last season, but then when it was playoff time, he was back to form, and he maintained that through the entire return to play.
But I'm just worried coming off concussion, not playing for as long as he has, and then game 1 right in the playoffs.
You never know.
That's what I'm worried about. It's not like it's a regular season game and it doesn't mean anything. And next thing you know, you got Matthews and these guys firing pucks at you. That's a little different than coming into a regular season game.
Yeah.
Or it gets him in tune that fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't have any practice last season either, right?
The adrenaline level, does it ramp up for Price too, where it doesn't matter? That missed a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to start a goalie controversy in Montreal kind of on purpose, starting Allen either, right? Because then we're going to have to deal with that. But mind you, even if Allen started, I'm fine with it. He's a great goalie.
Yeah,
he proved it last night, didn't he? What a difference.
Yeah.
What a difference from right away. It was a different team, and they didn't give up a goal in the second period, and they played a little bit better overall. They held their own better. So
we almost tied it up even.
It was a big difference to have him come in. So, I'm okay with it, but it will create a controversy.
But even, last night's game, I don't blame that all on Primo.
No, he's young.
Were kind of lazy in their own end and weren't finishing checks and couldn't clear the puck out of their own end.
Third goal was his fault, though. Third goal was his fault. He didn't get his pad on the post.
Nights. They were tired.
They were. Yeah. But the third goal was his fault.
I normally wouldn't make excuses, but they were definitely exhausted. And how do you not, I remember, what was it, 3-4 weeks? Whenever we came out of the COVID break, everyone was like, how the fuck are the Habs going to do this? Somehow they've managed to keep a playoff spot. I'm happy with that. So, I mean, the first goal Primo let in was like, kind of, it sucked that it was Galchenyuk, of course. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
And the third one, whatever. But the team had to be better. I mean, I don't know. Frustrating, but what can you do? It's all about the playoffs now.
To work today, at least listening to Leaf fans, but you got to take it.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Exactly. I'm getting lit up by Leafs fans on Twitter right now because of all the shit I was saying before the season started. But whatever. I was wrong. I said Habs might finish, might battle for first or second. They haven't. I'm comfortable being wrong. It's all in fun, right?
At least we admit we're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? We admit
Rick,
it.
There's one thing though that Rick, and I mean, he has a really good chance of this prediction coming through is Toffoli's goal total. Like,
I said he's going to hit 31.
I would have never picked Toffoli to score 31 goals in a season.
Yeah, wow. I said he's going to hit his career high this year, and he's going to do it, I think.
That's amazing. I would have never expected that either.
He needs 2 more. It was, it was a hot take. I did a hot take video. I have to say, I don't know that I 100% believed my hot take, but it turns out I'm going to be freaking close, if not right on.
I was like, oh, Rick, I'm a huge Toffoli fan. Like, I love that kid, and I couldn't wait for, like, there was a few times throughout the last couple of years that it was rumored that Montreal was interested in trading for him or bringing him here, and I was like, I'm a huge Toffoli fan, and I'm in a 56-game season, maybe 20 plus, like, goals. Like, I'm not even expecting high 20s, right?
Hey, Jeff, I mean, welcome to the North Division. All the stats are padded, right?
Yeah.
All the stats are padded.
In 56 games? Wow.
All right. So that's going to bring
well for the future for us. Hopefully he can do it again next year, despite not being in the Canadian division. We'll see. But I think mainly it speaks to the quality of the centers he's playing with and the fact he's been handcuffed to Suzuki all season.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, there you go, right?
So, you just made a comment there, because we were talking about it earlier. I don't know if you were here for it. How do you feel about the North Division? Do you feel it's mediocre? It's on par? It's because I was like, it's got a low ceiling, high floor. Like it's
yeah. It's not like people are. It's the worst division in the NHL. I don't know. Maybe it is, but it's definitely not like fucking 5 tiers below the rest of them. Like it's all the divisions are pretty close. I'm very surprised about Calgary struggling this year. Very surprised. And that they've continued to struggle despite the coaching change and how boring they have to play to even win. Like, it's just weird how bad they've been. Kind of surprised about Vancouver, but I mean, they did lose a lot. Ottawa, not surprised that they've overachieved. They're going to be incredible. But there's tons of talent in the North Division. There's great centers in the North Division. Just maybe the D-cores aren't up to snuff. When we have the best defense in the North Division, that's kind of saying something. So, I mean, maybe the Leafs have the best, defense as well, but that's also saying something.
Well, the fact that Matthews has got 40 goals and McDavid's going to hit 100 points in 56 games. Like, I think that says something too, right? Like,
yeah, I'd have to go look at the stats of other players in other divisions to see if they're also padded as well. But it's definitely very strange. Maybe it speaks to the figuring out the same opponents. Elite players are going to do that. It could be that. I don't know. But one thing I'll say about the North Division is it's getting stale. Like I'm missing the regular format, seeing all the other teams. It was fun for the first half or so, but it's just like, we've seen it over and over. You almost know who's going to win.
You know what? And like I said that too. Like not that I think I know who's going to win the games. It's stale. It's because that intensity level never jumps up that we thought we were going to get. Like that huge hate and fire we thought would happen hasn't really happened, and I think that's what it is. Because if each game had a little more fire behind it than the game before, we'd be all in on it, and we'd never want to go back to the regular division. But
do you think that has to do with? Do you think that has to do with the points being more valuable, where they're all divisional, where they just have to focus on the game more?
I think that's exactly. I think a lot of it is don't take stupid penalties. Don't cost the game because every game's a 4-point game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Every game is.
Habs have been really disciplined. That reminds me of that. They struggled at the beginning of the season. That's one huge positive. They've done a really good job not taking penalties for the most part. For
penalties have been
three-quarters
down
of the
big
season.
time. Yeah,
The
penalties
best part
have
is
been
they
down big
stopped
time.
taking. Oh, sorry, Rick.
I just said penalties have been down big time since that stretch where they just took penalties every second minute.
The too many men on the ice penalties was what was driving me nuts. And buck over glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on those.
Yeah, we haven't had one of those in a little while. That's
Thank
a good.
God.
Tomorrow night.
All right, we're at an hour and 20, so we're going to call it a night here. I want to thank you guys. This was a lot of fun. Matt, thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate
no problem.
it.
Definitely got to do it again. Like this is one of the best times I've had chatting hockey with. It was natural right from the beginning with all you guys, and I like this format, and I love that all of us have differing opinions and we can talk about it. And I think that is what creates the best content. You don't want people agreeing all the time. You want to hit all angles. And I think we did a great job of that tonight. So thanks again for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here, really. And listen, you literally have an open invitation. Anytime you go, maybe I'll be on the show, just let me know. And
I love that you send me the links to my email because I get them. I check it all the time, and if I can get on, I'll definitely do it.
I'm going to keep doing that, and it's only meant to if you feel you can make it. If you ever want to pop in for 10 minutes, pop on in. Anything we're doing, you're welcome to come in.
Right on. Sounds good, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Exactly. I have a lot of respect for what you're doing, man. You're killing it.
I appreciate it. And vice versa, because definitely you're a go-to for me. I watch all your videos.
Oh, dude, thanks. I appreciate it. All you guys, I really appreciate it.
I told you the other night when you made what was it? The Tom Wilson video. I said, I got your back, Scotian.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to say goodbye. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Shamir. And once again, thanks, Matt, for being here. Thanks, everybody, for being in here. I got to acknowledge this. For being in here and watching. Thanks, second owner. Appreciate that. Some second owner hype and some more Dono hype in there. Good job, lay boys. So so we're going to be doing this again every week. We do this show. Whatever the topics, whatever the news of the week and whatever's going on, that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Special guest in this week with Matt being here. It's usually just the three of us and maybe Luna in here. So that's why. So apologize. We'll get to you more next week. And thanks for watching. I hope you'll be back for the next one. And the next game is on Saturday, 7:00. We're going to take on them Leafs again. And hopefully better result. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to see. And so I'll see you there. I'll be on for the pregame and the game as always. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. And peace out, y'all. See you next one. On behalf of all you guys.
Go Habs, go.
Yeah, you got to do that. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Night, everybody.